Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're doing the worst movies ranked in 2024. Yes, previously on the channel I did do a best of 2024, so my top 20 movies of 2024. And I have actually watched 132 movies, and I have documented them all in one long list of a ranking on my Letterboxd account. So if you are interested, go over there and follow me. But yeah, I have watched 132 new movies from 2024, and I'm going to go through from the not so worst all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to get slowly worse, and we're going to ultimately crown the worst movie of 2024. What I will do though is I will do, like I did in my last video, some honourable mentions in terms of some that just slightly missed it. But there's some here that are not bad films, but I just wouldn't watch them again. The first one being Speak No Evil, which is the, psychological-y movie which starred James McAvoy. It's a remake of a Danish title, I believe. And yeah, really edgy, really gripping, and just wasn't really for me. Then I also just below that I put Garfield movie. I was really hopeful of this film. I thought it'd be pretty good, but it just wasn't. Chris Pratt did an okay job. Samuel L. Jackson was in there, but it just wasn't really good. So then here we go. This is the 20th worst movie, and this is a horror movie that was released. It's not really a horror film. I watched it and I was a bit like, this is just bland. It's just boring. And this is The Watchers, and it stars Dakota Fanning, who's playing Mina in the movie. And it's all about basically these people locked in a cabin, and then these watchers are watching them. It was pretty lackluster. There wasn't really much going on, and they could have filmed a lot of it on a stage in like a warehouse, really, in like a dark room. There was no real creativity there. Pretty good concept, but no real good execution, I think, of what it needed to be. And next then we have Madam Web. This was one of the worst movies of the year, but it's not as low down as people might rate it for me. I actually did really like the performance of Dakota Johnson. I thought she was okay in the film. You had Sydney Sweeney in there as well. So some of the people in the movie were actually okay, but the movie itself was executed really badly. Nice to see Madam Web on the big screen in terms of, that character being, given a treatment, but the treatment wasn't great. The treatment was awful, and it should have just not happened. I like Madam Web from the characters of the, the Spider-Man universe in terms of the animated series I used to watch as a kid. She was a good character, but totally not the character that we expected. Next then, this is an Amazon Prime movie, and it starred Saoirse Ronan as well as Paul Mescal. This was Faux. Unfortunately, this didn't really hit the heights for me. I remember this being pretty dumb. A cool concept in terms of, it was a very futuristic movie. I think it was set in like the year 3000 or something ridiculous. It was like set way in the future, and yeah, it just wasn't very good. And performance-wise, were really lackluster from two great actors as well. So definitely felt like a streaming film, one of those quick paydays for them, but it just wasn't good. Next then, we have one of the big releases of the year, really, in terms of money-wise and budget for films. This is Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. So slightly worse, but, there's no real story today. The spectacle looks great, but the story just isn't great. One of the busiest films of the year, though, in the cinema. I went to see on Good Friday, I think, in the UK, and it was really busy for Easter weekend. So I will say that, but yeah, these movies make a ton of money, but they're just not good. We all know that. Well, this one's in the news right now for the wrong reasons, and this is a movie starring Blake Lively as well as Justin Baldoni, obviously both in the news now because of some allegations, but both ways really. It ends with us, and it did end with this. Wasn't great. I remember I went to see this with Chloe. She loved it. I think she's read the book and stuff though, so there was a bit more there, but for me, wasn't good. I didn't like it. Rom-com just wasn't. It was just too soppy and just too. Yeah. Then we're going to go up to a Zachary Levi movie then. This gets slightly worse. This was Harold and the Purple Crayon. This was a kids movie, ultimately. It was a kids movie. It felt like I was watching a Disney Channel TV show thing. Wasn't good. All about Zach, who was basically in Harold, and he was able to draw anything with his magic purple crayon, and then this purple crayon would, just create things, and ultimately that was what happened. That's it. And sticking with the kids theme as well as purple things, this was If. John Krasinski directed this, and also stars Ryan Reynolds. So some big people involved. I didn't really like it. It's all about having your if, your imaginary friend. So, and then these ifs would come to life, and I found it quite dumb, to be honest. So that's ultimately where I settled with If. I didn't do a review of the next one on the channel. This is a Netflix movie, and this was This Time Next Year. Me and Chloe watched it like occasionally one night, I think it was. Wasn't good. Very low level actors in there. A bit of a rom-com. It was all about like these two people that were like born on the same day. It was just too much of a coincidence, a lot of it, and I just thought it was ungenuine, to be honest. And the guy who was playing was Quinn, Lucian Laviscorn. He was quite good. I think he's been in things like Waterloo Road and stuff like that in the UK. But that's it. We are getting down the list now, though, Gwen Craig, quite fast. Next we have, I think there's no surprise with this one, really. This is Afraid. This is Afraid, but it's like the AI elements of, you know, being afraid of your AI smart speakers. So your Amazons and your Apples and all that, you know. So basically this AI thing takes over and controls the entire house. And it's quite a scary concept, but the movie was downright awful, really corny, and very like homemade kind of vibes, you know, like as if a bunch of school kids made this for their media coursework. I say that quite a lot, but it reminds me of something that I could have made in school, you know. Next we have the Jessica Alba movie. This is a Netflix film. This was trigger warning. I can't remember much about it, which goes to say, you know, goes as far to say about it, obviously, it wasn't good. So I gave that a 1.5 star. Then we are down to 1.5 star goodness, and we are looking at Craven the Hunter. This is one of the newer movies, obviously, of the Sony Spider-Verse. So 2 Sony Spider-Verse movies in the bottom 20 movies of the year. That is awful, but I mean, to be expected. You know, the track record isn't great, and luckily now it is all over. This one, though, Craven the Hunter, obviously stars Aaron Taylor-Johnson, as well as Ariana DeBose. Russell Crowe as well. Awful movie. I've done an entire video on it. As many of these other movies, if you're interested, go back and watch that, but it was awful. Slightly worse than that, though, was Mother of the Bride. This is a Netflix movie. It stars, what's her name, Miranda Cosgrove, and it's basically her mum's getting married, and it's a Netflix corny, cheesy film with the saturations ramped right up. Bad. This was one of the biggest surprises of the year for me. This is ISS, the International Space Station. This stars Ariana DeBose. It looked really good from the trailers and stuff, but damn right awful. There was really no plot to the movie, and the actual main aim of the plot was well, just hard to believe, to be honest, from what I remember. As I say, a lot of these movies are forgetful because that's why they're in the bottom 20 of the year. Next then, this was quite controversial in my review, so there might be some controversy here, but this is the Book of Clarence. I really didn't rate this film at all, but I think it's just down to they tried to do more of a comedic aspect in terms of being too serious on the religious aspect of, you know, stuff. So it wasn't for me ultimately, and there was quite a bit of a backlash in my comments if I remember rightly, but sorry guys, just wasn't a fan. Then we've got Zack Snyder's follow-up to Rebel Moon. This is Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. Oh god, this was a while ago. Yeah, this is in the same category as, like, you know, people say Man and Web and that. It's just like really awful. Since then he's done a director's cut, which I've not watched. I've no interest in watching, and the Rebel Moon stuff is a real shame because the concept is cool, but it's just not executed very well. Then we get slightly worse then in terms of another movie. Now in the worst 5 movies of the year. So the next one being Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie. Yes, Sandy Cheeks is a character for SpongeBob, and oh my good god, the acting with the integrated of animation was awful. You know, when like a human is looking this way and then the actual animation object is there and they're not looking directly at where they're meant to be looking. The tracking was awful. You know, normally they use a tennis ball and you gotta like look at a tennis ball, but I don't know what they used. They just didn't look right. The entire film didn't look right. It's a Netflix film, really lackluster and really, you know, bad attention to detail. The next 3 now then, in terms of getting to that first one, I actually gave a 1 star each. And the first one being Borderlands. Massive budget, massive cast and actors and everyone that we all know. Jack Black, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kate Blanchett, really big actors, but I hated it. Borderlands was downright awful. It had real corniness in there, and arguably one of the worst, you know, it's probably the worst big blockbuster movie of the year in terms of my rating. This is probably the one that's got the most budget, I'd say, in the bottom half of this list. The rest of them are to be expected. They weren't really going to be a success. But Borderlands, I think, was meant to be a big summer blockbuster that was going to take a lot of money and do really well, but I think it did take quite a decent chunk of money, but you know, it hasn't been received well. And even now, I'm still seeing the steelbooks on the shelf at HMV. It's just not being received well for people to actually invest and want to get. Wasn't good. 1 star. Slightly worse than that, though, was Upgraded. This was the Amazon Prime movie that I watched. Again, you can just tell by the poster there that it's just, I could have created a better poster. Do you mean? I mean, it's just 2 people on a photo and then just a really bad green screen. Awful poster. It looks like AI created, doesn't it? Awful film. It's all about this girl who's really ambitious and then she meets this guy and it's romance and blah, blah, blah. It's just crap. Just don't bother watching it. The second worst movie of the year, though, for me was Night Swim. I gave that a 1 star. It had the guy from, what's his name, Russell Wyatt something. It had him in there. It was bad. It was all about the swimming pool that was haunted in a way, and if somebody went in the pool at night, then they would be infected or demon would possess them and that kind of shit. Basically crap. Don't bother. It's out on 4K. Who is paying 20 quid for Night Swim? yeah. And my worst movie of the year with a half a star is a Netflix movie, and this is Woody the Woodpecker Goes to Camp. Yes, I tried this year to watch as many films as possible. I wouldn't have watched this one on a normal month, but holy crap. There's some films out there, right, that are just bad. And then there's some films that, you know, they're not good, but they have a bit of a cult following. But who the heck is asking for Woody the Woodpecker movies in 2024? I don't think any kids are repping that anymore. I liked Woody the Woodpecker back in the day, but nobody nowadays is craving a Woody the Woodpecker movie. So Netflix really need to figure that out. I'd love to know the numbers of how many people actually watched Woody the Woodpecker, because I don't think it would be many. However, there it is. Woody the Woodpecker Goes to Camp is my worst movie of the year, and that is my top 20 or worst 20 movies. I don't know how to say that. My top 20 worst movies of the year. Anyhow, that is the list. Thanks so much for watching. If you did miss my best movies of the year, the other end of the spectrum, go and watch that video, because it's much better than this one. I like filming this though, because I like watching these back myself. So if nobody else watches this, I like watching these back, because I did that recently for 2023, 2022 and all that. But yeah, there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon, and of course I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.